there's a specific kind of relationship problem that I want to open up the conversation around. And it's this. What happens when you love your partner, but you're not sure where your attraction to them has gone? Maybe you love spending time with this person, like they're your best friend. There's trust and history, like a genuine, deep love exists between you. But still, somewhere inside of you, there's this voice saying, are they really my person? Are they really my type? Am I actually attracted to them enough for this to last? Sometimes it's, shouldn't I want them more? What if there's someone out there I'd feel more chemistry with? And that question has a lot of power, because it will decide a relationship's satisfaction and its ability to endure. Maybe you're the person lying next to someone that you love, but you wonder whether they really desire you. You notice their eyes wandering sometimes. You know the kind of person that they used to date, and you know what their type is. Maybe your body has changed. Maybe you had children. You're just getting older, like we all do. And you can just feel that something is different between you two. That magnetism isn't as strong as it used to be. And suddenly, the struggle with attraction feels like evidence about you, about what you're doing wrong and where you're not enough. You ask yourself questions like, what if maybe I lost 10 pounds? Maybe if I were younger? Maybe if my body looked different? Maybe then they'd want me. I want to talk about both sides of this struggle today, because I think physical attraction matters. And I'm not here to pretend that it doesn't. But I also think we have an incredibly impoverished understanding of what attraction actually is and how we cultivate it inside of a relationship, inside of a long-term relationship. We tend to talk about attraction like it's binary, like a yes or a no. This person's my type, this person's not my type. There's chemistry or there's no chemistry. We talk about attraction like desire is some kind of objective instrument that scans the body and delivers the truth to you. And in this episode, I want us to explore together. What if some of us just haven't actually developed a deeper and more embodied capacity for attraction yet? Stay with me. This will be an interesting one. This is Reclaiming the Gentleman. I'm Dave Lashansky. So I want to start off with an analogy. Let's talk about our sense of taste for a moment. When we're kids, for so many of us, the taste of sweetness is really hard to beat. Like, kids love sugar and candy, ice cream. And we're not taught to like these things. It's just lifeblood for so many of us when we're kids. We don't have to be taught to enjoy sugar. We just do. And if you give a 5-year-old a cup of black coffee or a funky blue cheese, they're probably not going to say, wow, what an extraordinary depth of flavor. They're going to say gross. And for them, that is the whole truth. They genuinely do not like it. But as we grow up, something happens and our palates develop. We start noticing the sweetness and bitterness and acidity and salt and heat and texture, even fermentation. Flavors you once couldn't stand that made you gag start to become pleasurable. Eventually, a tomato, the height of summer with a little bit of salt and some good olive oil, might give you more pleasure than a handful of candy. Not because you were disciplined into liking something, but because your capacity to appreciate more flavors grew. And I wonder if attraction actually works something like that. This is not to say that what we're drawn to doesn't matter, but more that it's not always the full story. Yes, preferences are real, but maybe you are capable of perceiving more than what you understand attraction is on the surface. A lot of people have a type, a flavor they're most interested in. And sometimes it's a very specific kind of body. For a lot of men, that is true. Maybe she is extremely thin. But this can also be very true for women too, right? Like maybe he's 6'3" with broad shoulders. Maybe it's about their age, a certain style, a certain kind of expression of femininity or masculinity. And I want to state here plainly that there's nothing wrong with these preferences. There's nothing wrong with being drawn to a physical form that stirs your attraction. That's not what this episode is about. But I think there is a question we're often not asking ourselves that's worth considering. Where do our types come from? Because whether it's apparent to you or not, there's usually a history to what we're physically drawn to. Porn can be a part of that. Advertising can be a part of that. Movies can be part of that. Your experience as a teenager and as a kid can be part of it. The people and the body parts that our friends thought were hot can train you. The kids that got attention in high school can train you. Your parents' relationship can train you, right? Status, attachment, fear, all of these things can shape the way that we see other people, their value, and yes, their attractiveness. And I think if we just skip over all that and say, no, that's just what I'm attracted to. Maybe. I mean, I do think we're all built in unique ways. And for some people, it might just be the body type being the end all be all. But I know that for a lot more people than maybe we give credit for, what we call our type is just this narrow groove we have practiced recognizing as desirable. And it's not that our preferences are fake, but they are worth resensitizing to regularly. And here's where this gets uncomfortable. Because if we take the guy who feels like he needs to be with a very conventionally attractive woman, like maybe he's particularly obsessed with thinness. And yes, again, maybe that's just what he likes, but maybe, and this can take some digging for, maybe there's something else there. What does having that woman offer him? Does it make him feel successful? Or other men envy him? Does it in some way prove his masculinity? Is he attracted to her because of her thinness, or because he's the man who gets to have her? And that's not the same thing. And women definitely have their own version of this too, right? Maybe you're drawn to the hyper-confident guy. Like he needs to make a particular amount of money. And yes, Again, you might simply just like those things, but sometimes the deeper desire isn't, I need a tall man. It's, I want to feel small next to him. Maybe it's not, I need a rich man. It's, I want to feel safe. It might not even be, I want the mysterious, emotionally unavailable guy. Maybe it's just that uncertainty is what you learned chemistry is. And this is where I think attraction becomes really interesting. Because underneath the question, what am I attracted to, is another really important question. What meaning have I attached to having this kind of person? And there's another element here that I want to raise that I think is particularly important for men, but it is relevant for all of us too. Sometimes evaluating someone's attractiveness is a very convenient way to avoid being with yourself. Is she attractive enough? Would I be happier with someone bigger or smaller? Is there somebody hotter out there? Why don't I want her the way that I think I should? All the attention goes to her body and her desirability or his deficiencies, right? They're measuring up to your fantasy. And many couples spend years staring through that microscope without turning it inward on themselves. Not in self-criticism and how we stack up, but in self-awareness and embodiment. What happens in your body when you touch this person who you're questioning your attraction and desire for? What happens when you touch them slowly? When you have your entire presence in your fingers as you do it? When you pay attention to them with your whole being? Can you tolerate being fully seen by this person? Receiving more love from them? Can you surrender to their touch? Can you stop performing, going through the motions of your sexual connection? Are you willing to risk choosing them? Are you willing to grieve the imaginary life of what ifs that disappears when you commit to someone? Sometimes scrutinizing our partner's body and flaws is the easiest way to hide from the depths that intimacy has to offer you. We stay floating on the familiar surface, these surface levels of attraction, wondering whether there's something better out there, so we remain protected from the terror of saying, this is my life. This is the person I love. I am choosing. I am here. Can desire itself deepen? Because think about what happens in a long relationship. Bodies change. I think we owe it to ourselves and our partners to care for our bodies. I do. But in the end, for most of us, there's no way around the changes we endure as we age. Pregnancy changes bodies. Birth changes bodies. Work, stressful work changes bodies. Grief can change our bodies. Your hormones will fluctuate throughout your life, and that will change your body. Illness can change your body. We are constantly growing into some new form of us. It's not the same one that our partner originally chose. But we don't really talk about enduring love and how our attraction has to develop with it. No, most of us either judge harshly or resonate with the man who gets divorced to his wife of 30 years and ends up with a woman half his age. This episode is the inquiry into why we're not all doomed to go through that. Because our attraction is not supposed to remain frozen as we age and transform. Attraction itself can age and grow and deepen within us. What happens is our desire becomes more embodied, more sensitive as we age, not more tolerant. But if we don't pay attention to it, If we treat desire as this default setting we need to have fulfilled by an image close enough to our fantasies, we will constantly be desensitizing to the most powerful connection between us inside a long-term relationship. This is the desire we cultivate from being embodied, from having an embodied presence and surrendering in intimacy. Because when we see someone we've loved through so many seasons, right, who we care to want to learn to know and support more and more, at some point the body and the person inhabiting that body become impossible to separate. It's not less physical attraction, it's more embodied attraction. The way they smell, the way they move, the way their voice changes when they're turned on, the way they carry themselves when they're confident, or look at you across a room. The experience of being wanted by them. These are all parts of attraction, right? A body isn't just an object you look at and grasp at. It is a person unfolding before you. And mature attraction, intentionally cultivated, sacred attraction, isn't learning to ignore the body. It's learning to experience more of that person through their body. Not to fulfill your familiar desire, but to awaken the depths of desire you didn't know you were capable of. The desire that overtakes you. This is the part of intimacy we don't talk about, right? That fear of what happens when we're overcome by desire. But it's something we'll never experience if we stay leering at some object of desire we think we need to fulfill our attraction. Your type may be real, but it also might represent a very small bandwidth of your erotic perception. And if you only know how to recognize or only seek out one singular flavor as pleasure, the answer isn't to shame yourself for liking that flavor, but there is an invitation to develop your palate, to become more sensitive, to notice more in you in connection to them, and to feel more, to get inside your own body enough that attraction stops being an evaluation from your eyes or your fingers. Maybe this is one of the greatest opportunities inside of a long-term relationship. It's not just learning how to keep loving the same person, it's learning how to keep discovering them anew. And I need to say this clearly, as I often do, sometimes you can do this inquiry, really sit with it, and come away with the answer that I'm not attracted to this person I've committed to. That matters. I don't believe in using spirituality or therapy or personal development to bully yourself into staying with someone you're not desiring. Nobody deserves or wants that fake desire either. And nobody should have to become your personal growth assignment. That's not what I'm saying. But before you blow up a loving relationship because the person beside you doesn't perfectly match the erotic template that you inherited years ago, I think you owe yourself a more interesting question than, are they my type? Do I want them? I think you owe yourself the inquiry of, what kind of lover have I trained myself to be? What can I actually perceive at my most sensitive? And what happens when I stop consuming another person's body and start experiencing them? What happens when attraction stops being something that I demand that my partner generates and becomes at least partly a sensitivity that I cultivate within myself? I think that's what intimacy, real intimacy, asks of us. It's not pretending that bodies don't matter. It's not transcending desire. It's becoming capable of sensing below what we learned desire was when we were first discovering our bodies. It's letting attraction become less about whether another human being perfectly matches your template and whether you're awake enough to actually open enough to encounter them more deeply. Because the person you love is going to change. And so are you. The question is not about whether you can somehow prevent that. The question is, can your capacity for desire grow with you? Thank you for listening to this episode of Reclaiming the Gentleman. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can reach out on Instagram at Dave_Lashansky or via my website, davelashansky.com, where you can learn about my coaching offerings and my online men's groups. I would love to hear from you if you're getting something from these episodes. And as always, liking, rating, reviewing, and subscribing to these episodes, to this show, wherever you get your podcasts, is incredibly helpful. Thank you in advance. And wherever this finds you, I'm wishing you a beautiful day or night. I'll be back in a week.